April 14th, 2025. Indian Ocean, 235 nautical miles east of Somalia. A lone American supply ship drifts through darkness, carrying nearly 12 million gallons of fuel and thousands of tons of ammunition. On the bridge, the captain watches his radar screen light up with 93 hostile contacts converging from 3 directions. His ship is outnumbered. His cargo could level a city block if ignited, and he's under orders to hold position and wait. The pirates racing toward him believe they've found the score of a lifetime, an undefended American vessel worth $500 million in ransom and black market sales. What they don't know is they're not hunting. They're being hunted. And in exactly 18 minutes, the ocean around them will transform into a killing field engineered with mathematical precision. This is Operation Phantom Tide. The ship at the center of this trap is the USNS Henry J. Kaiser, a massive fleet oiler that serves as the logistical lifeline for the Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group, operating 300 miles to the northeast. Without the fuel and ammunition she carries, the entire carrier battle group grinds to a halt. Fighter jets stay grounded. Destroyers ration fuel. America's naval presence across the Indian Ocean and Persian Gulf becomes paralyzed. For the past 6 weeks, American intelligence agencies have been watching something unprecedented develop along the Somali coast. The National Security Agency picked up encrypted satellite phone traffic between known piracy financiers and shell companies in Dubai. The volume was wrong, too coordinated, too professional, too ambitious for typical opportunistic hijacking. Commercial satellites showed boats gathering at 3 separate beaches, not fishing boats preparing for a normal day at sea. These were combat craft being armed with heavy machine guns, rocket launchers, and boarding equipment. Analysts counted 93 vessels being staged simultaneously, the largest pirate fleet assembled in over a decade. Human intelligence from CIA sources in Mogadishu reported something even more concerning. Young men were being recruited with promises of $50,000 each. Fuel and weapons were flowing into coastal villages at unprecedented rates. And the money behind it, all traced back to foreign backers with ties to Iranian intelligence networks operating in Yemen. The target became obvious when surveillance drones tracked the pirate fleet's planned route. They were positioning to intercept the Henry J. Kaiser during her transit from Djibouti to the carrier group rendezvous point. The pirates had somehow obtained accurate intelligence on the ship's schedule and route, information that should have been classified. Vice Admiral Marcus Chen, commanding 5th Fleet from Bahrain, faced a decision. Traditional counter-piracy operations meant interdicting boats one at a time, arresting crews, prosecuting them in courts that often couldn't hold them. Against 93 boats, that approach was impossible. But if they could lure the entire pirate fleet into a single engagement zone, confirm hostile intent, and eliminate the threat in one coordinated strike, they could end major piracy in this region for a generation. The White House authorized what would be called Operation Phantom Tide. The rules were absolute. Let every pirate boat enter a designated kill box, wait for them to demonstrate clear hostile intent, then destroy them completely. No warning shots, no escalation, just overwhelming, decisive force. The trap was set with surgical precision. The kill box measured 45 nautical miles long and 24 nautical miles wide, a rectangle of ocean that would become a cage once the pirates entered. The Henry J. Kaiser would sit at the center, appearing vulnerable and alone. Nautical miles to the north sat the USS Nitze, an R. Lee Burke-class destroyer bristling with missiles, guns, and the most sophisticated radar system ever put to sea. 32 miles to the south, her sister ship, USS Bulkley, mirrored the weapons loadout and fire control systems. Beneath the surface, the nuclear submarine USS Colorado ran silent at 380 feet. her sonar arrays tracking every surface contact while remaining completely invisible. Above the kill box, a P-8 Poseidon surveillance aircraft circled at 20,000 feet, its radar painting every boat within 200 miles. An MQ-9 Reaper drone held station at 22,000 feet, armed with 4 Hellfire missiles and enough sensors to read license plates from 4 miles up. Every weapon system was assigned a specific firing sector. Every sensor fed into a single networked picture. Every commander knew exactly when and where to fire. The geometry was perfect. The coordination was flawless. Now they just needed the pirates to take the bait. At 2:17 in the morning, a green flare arced into the sky from the Somali coast. The attack signal. The pirate fleet began its final approach, 93 boats moving in 3 prongs like a military formation. They advanced slowly at first, 14 knots, trying to avoid early detection. Their commander was a man named Hassan Jamak, a former Somali naval officer who'd learned tactics from Soviet advisors in the 1970s. He understood radar ranges, engagement zones, and how to overwhelm defenses through massed attacks. His plan was elegant. Approach from 3 directions simultaneously, designate 15 boats as sacrificial decoys to absorb defensive fire, then swarm the target with the main force. On paper, against an undefended supply ship, it would work perfectly. By 3:50 in the morning, the first pirate boats reached the 8 nautical mile mark. The Henry J. Kaiser was clearly visible now. A massive gray whale lit up like a shopping mall, apparently oblivious to the doom approaching from 3 directions. Some pirates laughed. Others fired celebratory bursts from AK-47s into the air. The smell of cot and diesel fuel mixed with adrenaline. This was it. The biggest score any of them had ever attempted. Aboard the USS Nietzsche, the Combat Information Center was a cave of blue light and controlled tension. Commodore Sarah Martinez stood before the Aegis display, watching 93 red hostile tracks converge on the center of her screen. Every boat was inside the kill box now. Every one was displaying weapons. The rules of engagement were clear. Wait for hostile intent. At 4:03 in the morning, Hassan Jamak gave his final order over encrypted radios. All boats, maximum speed. Attack now. 93 throttles slammed forward. The ocean erupted with white foam as the pirate fleet accelerated to 35 knots, racing for what they thought was an easy prize. On the Kaiser's bridge, Captain James Hawthorne watched the contacts close to 4 nautical miles. His executive officer whispered nervously, "Sir, they're inside our comfort zone." "Steady," Hawthorne replied, his voice like iron. "The Admiral has the trigger." 300 miles away in Bahrain, Admiral Chen watched the same tactical display via satellite. Every pirate boat was inside the Bahrain. Every one had demonstrated clear hostile intent by racing toward an American vessel with weapons visible. At 3:45 and 47 seconds, he spoke into his headset. "All Phantom Tide units, this is Mother. You are weapons free. Execute." What happened next lasted 5 minutes and 18 seconds, but it would be remembered for decades. The USS Nietzsche's forward gun mount erupted first. The 5-inch cannon fired 22 rounds in just over a minute, each shell programmed to detonate 25 meters above tightly packed boat clusters. The effect was devastating. Air bursts shredded fiberglass hulls, ignited fuel tanks, and turned the ocean surface into a field of fire and debris. 8 pirate boats vanished in the first salvo. 12 more spun out of control, their engines destroyed, hulls flooding rapidly. 7 seconds later, USS Bulkley joined the fight from the south. Another 24 precision rounds walked through the eastern wedge of attackers. Simultaneous orange explosions blossomed across black water. The coordination was so precise, it looked choreographed. The MQ-9 Reaper drone shifted from surveillance to strike mode. 4 Hellfire missiles streaked earthward, targeting the 4 largest dhows that served as command vessels. The first missile hit Hassan Jamak's boat directly amidships. The explosion lifted the entire vessel out of the water before it disintegrated into burning fragments. Without central coordination, the pirate attack collapsed into chaos. Some boats tried to flee back toward Somalia. Others accelerated toward the Kaiser in rage or desperation. A few simply stopped, their crews paralyzed by the sudden transformation from hunters to prey. 2 MH-60 Seahawk helicopters swept in from low altitude. Door gunners opened up with 50 caliber machine guns, walking tracer fire across fleeing boats. The helicopters then fired their own Hellfire missiles, each one striking with surgical precision. 2 boats exploded. 3 more caught fire and began sinking. From the USS Nitsa, 8 rolling airframe missiles launched in rapid sequence, white smoke trails converging from multiple angles on high-priority targets that had broken through the outer defensive ring. 7 direct hits. 7 more pirate boats eliminated in under 12 seconds. At 20,800 meters from the Kaiser, the inner defensive line activated. Both Phalanx close-in weapon systems spun up with their distinctive whining hum. When they fired, the sound was like industrial fabric being torn apart. 4,500 rounds per minute of tungsten penetrators shredding anything in their field of fire. 4 pirate boats attempting the final approach simply disintegrated. Wood, metal, and debris scattered across 100 meters of ocean. A 5th boat lost its engine and steering, spinning helplessly before capsizing. 50 caliber machine guns on the Kaiser's deck opened up, their crews methodically sweeping the waterline. Tracer rounds skipped across waves, finding targets, eliminating threats. The water around the supply ship became a cauldron of impacts and burning fuel. At 4:09 and 18 seconds, just 5 minutes and 18 seconds after the first shot was fired, the last hostile engine went silent. The ocean was transformed. Where 93 pirate boats had been racing toward what they thought was an easy target, now only burning wreckage, debris fields, and scattered survivors remained. USS Bulkley transmitted, "Mother, this is Bulkley. All hostile contacts destroyed or disabled. Count is 87 confirmed destroyed, 6 dead in the water. 0 hostiles escaping engagement area. 0 U.S. casualties." Overhead, the P-8 Poseidon ran a final sensor sweep. No active contacts outside the kill box. No boats attempting to flee. No reinforcements approaching from shore. It was over. 87 pirate vessels destroyed. 6 disabled but afloat. 0 escaped. 0 American casualties. The trap had worked perfectly. As dawn broke over the Indian Ocean, helicopters circled overhead using loudspeakers to order survivors to swim to collection points. By 8 in the morning, 156 pirates were in custody aboard the 2 destroyers, secured in temporary holding areas and receiving medical treatment for burns, shrapnel wounds, and injuries from being thrown into the water at high speed. The casualty assessment was sobering. 267 pirates killed in action, 156 captured, approximately 31 missing and presumed drowned. The 3 rival piracy networks that had united for this operation were effectively destroyed in a single engagement. The USNS Henry J. Kaiser resumed course toward the carrier group, her cargo intact, her crew unharmed. Within hours, insurance analysts at Lloyd's of London noted the operation's success. Risk premiums for East African shipping lanes dropped 23% within 3 days. The strategic impact was immediate and lasting. Somali pirate networks, already weakened by years of international pressure, were effectively decapitated. The foreign backers who had invested $4.2 million into this operation lost everything: boats, weapons, personnel, and most importantly, credibility. No major piracy attempt has been recorded in this region in the months since Operation Phantom Tide. At the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, the operation became required study material for surface warfare officers. It demonstrated several revolutionary principles that would reshape naval thinking. First, intelligence integration. 6 weeks of signals intelligence, satellite imagery, and human sources created a targeting picture so precise that commanders could predict enemy behavior with 96% accuracy. Second, legal precision. By establishing clear rules of engagement and waiting for hostile intent to be demonstrated, the United States eliminated any question of preemptive aggression. The pirates attacked first. American forces simply responded with overwhelming force. Third, multi-domain coordination. Air, surface, and subsurface assets operating as a single networked system delivered violence at a scale and speed that no irregular force could survive. The kill box concept, enabled by real-time data sharing, allowed simultaneous prosecution of 93 targets with zero risk of friendly fire. Fourth, psychological impact. The total destruction of the pirate fleet sent a message that continues to resonate. Attacking American vessels doesn't bring arrest and trial. It brings complete military annihilation. But perhaps the most important lesson was about patience and discipline. Captain Hawthorne and his crew aboard the Kaiser maintained course and composure while watching 93 armed boats approach, trusting that the system would work, that the trap would close, that help was exactly where it needed to be when the moment came. In modern naval warfare, that kind of trust, backed by technology, training, and perfect coordination, is the difference between security and catastrophe. The maritime corridor off Somalia remains one of the safest in the world today, a direct result of operations like Phantom Tide. The pirates who survived are serving life sentences in Kenyan prisons. The financiers lost everything. The foreign intelligence networks that backed them learned a costly lesson. And the ocean remembers. There are no soft targets when the United States Navy is watching. The lesson is permanent. The deterrence is absolute. Attack an American ship, and the ocean becomes your grave. Operation Phantom Tide proved that in the modern era, irregular threats can be eliminated through superior intelligence, perfect coordination, and the willingness to employ overwhelming force within legal frameworks. The trap worked because every element, from satellite surveillance to submarine tracking to surface gun crews, functioned as a single integrated system. 93 boats entered that kill box, believing they were about to change their lives with the biggest score in piracy history. 5 minutes later, 87 of those boats no longer existed. The survivors learned what happens when you threaten American interests at sea. The corridor is safe, the threat is eliminated, and the message is clear. Some battles are won before the first shot is fired, by commanders who understand that patience, precision, and overwhelming force applied at exactly the right moment win wars without ever giving the enemy a chance to fight back.